What happens when one of Hollywood's most respected actors walks onto a talk show set and faces the kind of disrespect that nobody saw coming? In just 38 seconds, a simple question about his latest film turned into the most explosive confrontation daytime television has ever witnessed. And what happened next left the entire studio in absolute shock. The morning started like any other episode. The cameras were rolling, the audience was packed, and Denzel Washington walked out to thunderous applause. He was there to talk about his new movie, a powerful drama about redemption and second chances. The audience loved him. You could feel the energy in the room as he took his seat at the table. Whoopi Goldberg sat at the center of the panel, flanked by Joy Behar, Sunny Hostin, Sarah Haynes, and Ana Navarro. The introduction went smoothly enough. Denzel smiled, waved to the crowd, and settled into his chair. But something felt different today. There was a tension in the air that nobody could quite place. "So Denzel, welcome to The View," Whoopi said, barely looking up from her notes. "I guess we should talk about your movie." The audience laughed nervously. Denzel raised an eyebrow, but kept his composure. "Thank you for having me. Yes, I'm excited to share this story with everyone." Right, Whoopi interrupted, waving her hand dismissively. "But before we get into all that, I want to ask you something more interesting. Why do you always play these intense, serious roles? Don't you ever want to just have fun?" Denzel paused, clearly taken aback by the question. "Well, I choose roles that speak to me, that have depth and meaning. I think audiences appreciate stories that make them think and feel." "Oh, please," Whoopi scoffed, leaning back in her chair. "That sounds like something your publicist told you to say. Come on, give us something real." The other hosts shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Sarah tried to jump in. "I think what Whoopi means is—" "I know what I mean, Sarah." Whoopi cut her off sharply. "I don't need you to translate for me." Denzel sat up straighter, his jaw tightening. "I'm not sure what you're looking for here. I came to talk about a film that means a lot to me and the team that worked on it." "See, that's the problem with actors like you," Whoopi said, pointing her finger at him. "You come on these shows. You give us the same rehearsed answers, the same fake humility. Do you think we're stupid? Do you think the audience is stupid?" The studio went quiet. You could hear people in the crowd gasping. Joy Behar looked down at the table, clearly uncomfortable. Sunny Hostin tried to interject. "Whoopi, I don't think that's fair," Sunny said carefully. "Denzel has always been genuine in his interviews." "Oh, now you're defending him," Whoopi snapped, turning her attention to Sunny. "Of course you are. Everyone always defends the Hollywood elite, right? They can do no wrong." Denzel remained calm, but you could see the fire building behind his eyes. "With all due respect, I don't know where this hostility is coming from. I've been nothing but respectful since I walked through that door." "Respectful?" Whoopi laughed bitterly. "You show up here 20 minutes late, you barely acknowledge the staff, and you expect us to just fawn all over you because you're Denzel Washington?" "I was not 20 minutes late," Denzel said firmly. "I arrived exactly when your producers asked me to arrive, and I greeted everyone I encountered with respect." Ana Navarro finally spoke up. "Whoopi, maybe we should take a breath here and—" "Don't tell me to take a breath, Ana," Whoopi interrupted again. "I'm tired of walking on eggshells around these Hollywood people who think they're better than everyone else." The audience was completely silent now. The tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife. Denzel took a deep breath, clearly trying to maintain his composure. "I have never, in my entire career, acted like I was better than anyone," Denzel said, his voice steady but firm. "I come from humble beginnings. I work hard. I treat people with respect. And I certainly didn't come here today expecting to be attacked for no reason." "Attacked?" Whoopi's voice rose. "You think this is an attack? This is a conversation, Denzel. Maybe you're just not used to people challenging you." "Challenging me is fine. Denzel replied. But what you're doing right now isn't challenging. It's rude. It's unprofessional. And honestly, it's beneath what I thought this show was about. Joy finally found her voice. Look, let's all just calm down and... Joy, please, Whoopi said dismissively. Let the adults talk. That comment hung in the air like a bomb. Joy's face flushed red, but she said nothing. Sarah looked like she wanted to disappear into her chair. The whole panel seemed frozen. Denzel leaned forward, his eyes locked on Whoopi. You know what I find interesting? You built your career on being authentic, on speaking truth to power, on standing up for what's right. But right now, you're using this platform to tear someone down for absolutely no reason. Is that what you call authentic? Don't you dare lecture me about authenticity, Whoopi fired back. I've been in this business longer than you can imagine. I've earned the right to ask whatever questions I want. Earning the right to ask questions and earning the right to be disrespectful are two very different things, Denzel countered. Sonny tried again. Can we please just take a moment and... No, Sonny, we cannot take a moment, Whoopi said sharply. I'm sick of people telling me how to run my own show. This is The View. We have strong opinions here. We don't coddle our guests. There's a difference between having strong opinions and being hostile, Denzel said. And right now, you've crossed that line, the audience started murmuring. You could hear people whispering to each other, wondering what was going to happen next. The producers in the control room were probably panicking, but the cameras kept rolling. You want to talk about crossing lines? Whoopi leaned forward aggressively. Let's talk about how you actors come on these shows and use them as free publicity for your movies, while looking down on those of us who work in television. Like we're beneath you. I have never looked down on anyone who works in television, Denzel said, his voice rising slightly. That's a complete fabrication. You're making up narratives to justify whatever this is. Whatever this is? Whoopi mocked him. This is me being real with you, Denzel. Maybe you're just not used to it. Anna tried once more. Whoopi, I really think we need to... Anna, if you interrupt me one more time, you can leave the table, Whoopi threatened. Anna's mouth dropped open. The other hosts looked shocked. This was spiraling out of control fast. Denzel stood up slowly, removing his microphone. The entire studio held its breath. What are you doing? Whoopi demanded. I'm leaving, Denzel said calmly. I came here in good faith to have a conversation about my work, about a film that tackles important issues, about stories that matter. Instead, I've been insulted, disrespected, and frankly, I've watched you disrespect your own colleagues. I don't need to sit here and take this. Oh, so you're just going to run away? Whoopi taunted. That's real mature, Denzel. I'm not running away from anything, Denzel replied, his voice strong and clear. I'm choosing not to participate in whatever this has become. There's a difference. Joy stood up too. Denzel, please, I'm so sorry about... You don't need to apologize, Joy, Denzel said kindly. None of you do. This isn't on any of you. He turned to face Whoopi directly. You know what's sad? I've always respected you. I've admired your work, your talent, your journey. But what you've shown me today isn't strength or authenticity. It's just cruelty dressed up as honesty, and I feel sorry for you. Don't you dare feel sorry for me, Whoopi shot back, standing up from her chair. I don't need your pity. It's not pity, Denzel said. It's disappointment. The word hung in the air like a gavel dropping. Disappointing someone you once admired. That seemed to land harder than anything else that had been said. Whoopi's face flushed. Get out then. If you can't handle a real conversation, then leave. We don't need you here. You're right about that, Denzel said. You don't need me. But I think you need to take a long look at what this show has become and ask yourself if this is really what you want it to be. He turned to the other hosts. Ladies, it was nice to meet you. I'm sorry this is how our conversation ended. Sarah stood up, tears in her eyes. Denzel, we're so sorry. This isn't how we... I know, Denzel said gently. I can see that. Sonny stood as well. Please don't judge all of us by... I would never, Denzel assured her. You all tried to make this right. I saw that. I appreciate that. He started walking toward the exit. The audience didn't know whether to applaud or stay silent. A few people started clapping, then more joined in, until the whole studio was giving him a standing ovation as he walked off the set. Whoopi remained standing at the table, her face red, her fists clenched. Sit down, she yelled at the audience. Sit down right now. But the applause only grew louder. Joy had her head in her hands. Anna was shaking her head in disbelief. Sarah was openly crying now. Sonny just stared at Whoopi with a look of profound sadness. As Denzel reached the exit, he turned back one final time. The camera zoomed in on his face. He looked directly at Whoopi. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for, he said, because this isn't it. And with that, he walked through the door and was gone. The studio erupted into chaos. The audience was buzzing with conversation. The other hosts were trying to figure out what to do next, and Whoopi just stood there, alone at the center of the table, realizing that she had just made the biggest mistake of her career on live television. Well, Joy finally said, her voice shaking, I guess we should go to commercial. No, Whoopi said firmly. We're not going to commercial. We're going to continue the show. Whoopi, we can't just... Sarah started. I said we're continuing, Whoopi interrupted, but her voice had lost its edge. She sounded tired now, defeated, almost. The other hosts exchanged glances. The audience was still buzzing. The energy in the room had completely shifted. What started as excitement for a beloved actor's appearance had turned into shock and discomfort. Anna spoke quietly but firmly. I think we need to address what just happened. There's nothing to address, Whoopi said, sitting back down. He couldn't handle a tough interview, so he left. End of story. That's not what happened, Sonny said, finding her courage. You attacked him from the moment he sat down, for no reason. I was doing my job, Whoopi insisted. Your job is to have conversations, not confrontations, Joy added. And you didn't just go after Denzel. You snapped at all of us, too. The audience applauded at Joy's comment. Whoopi's face got even redder. Oh, so now you're all turning on me? Whoopi looked around the table. My own panel? Really? Nobody's turning on you, Sarah said softly. But you have to admit, that was really hard to watch. I don't have to admit anything, Whoopi said stubbornly. Anna leaned forward. Whoopi, I've known you for years, and I'm telling you as a friend, what happened here today was wrong. You were wrong. I don't need your opinion, Anna, Whoopi snapped. Well, you're getting it anyway, Anna fired back, because someone needs to tell you the truth. You just chased off one of the most respected actors in Hollywood, insulted your own colleagues, and made this entire show look bad. And for what? What did you gain from that? Whoopi had no answer. She just stared at the desk in front of her. Joy spoke up again. The worst part is, he was right. About everything he said. We did this to ourselves. You did this. That's enough, Whoopi said quietly. No, it's not enough, Sonny interjected. Because our audience deserves better than this. They tune in every day expecting real conversations, not whatever that was. That wasn't authentic. That was just mean. The audience applauded again, louder this time. Whoopi looked out at them, and for the first time, she seemed to realize the gravity of what had just happened. I think, Sarah said carefully, we really do need to take a break, for everyone's sake. This time, Whoopi didn't argue. She just nodded slowly. We'll be right back, Joy told the cameras, and they finally cut to commercial. The moment the cameras were off, Whoopi stood up and walked off the set without saying a word to anyone. The other hosts sat in stunned silence. "I can't believe that just happened," Sarah whispered. "I can," Anna said. "She's been getting more and more difficult, but I never thought it would come to this." "That man showed nothing but grace," Sunny said. "Even when he was leaving, even after everything she said to him, he was still kind to us. To the audience. That's class." "And we just sat here and let it happen," Joy said, shaking her head. "We should have done more." "We tried," Anna reminded her. "She shut us down every time." "Trying wasn't enough," Joy replied. "Denzel Washington just walked off our show because we couldn't control our own host. How do we come back from that?" The question hung in the air, unanswered. Back in his dressing room, Denzel was packing his things. A producer knocked on the door. "Mr. Washington, I am so sorry about what happened out there. We had no idea she was going to—" "It's okay," Denzel said calmly. "It's not your fault. Is there anything we can do? Anything at all?" Denzel looked at the young producer with kind eyes. "Just make sure those other ladies are okay. They looked pretty shaken up, and they didn't deserve to be treated that way either." The producer nodded, tears forming in her eyes. "You're a good man, Mr. Washington." "I'm just a man who knows his worth," Denzel replied. "And I know when it's time to walk away." He picked up his bag and headed toward the exit. As he walked through the backstage area, crew members stopped what they were doing to watch him pass. Some reached out to shake his hand or pat him on the shoulder. One older stagehand stopped him. "I've been working in television for 40 years, the man said, "and I've never seen anyone handle themselves with more dignity than you just did out there. Thank you for that." Denzel shook his hand warmly. "Thank you for saying that. It means a lot." As he walked out of the building and into the waiting car, Denzel took one last look back at the studio. He thought about what could have been, about the conversation he had hoped to have about his film, about the message he wanted to share. But sometimes, he realized, the most important message isn't in the words you plan to say. It's in knowing when to stand up, speak your truth, and walk away with your head held high. The car pulled away from the curb, and Denzel never looked back again. Inside the studio, the show was coming back from commercial. The hosts returned to the table, but Whoopi's seat remained empty. Joy looked directly into the camera. "We want to apologize to our audience," she began. "What you witnessed today was not representative of what this show stands for. We pride ourselves on having difficult conversations, but we also pride ourselves on respect, on dignity, on treating our guests and each other with kindness. Today, we failed at that, and for that, we are truly sorry." The audience applauded softly. Sunny nodded. Denzel Washington is a remarkable talent and an even better human being. The way he conducted himself today, even in the face of such unexpected hostility, showed us all what grace under pressure really looks like. We hope, Anna added, that he knows how much we respect him, how sorry we are, and how much we wish things had gone differently. Sarah wiped her eyes. And we hope that all of you watching at home understand that what happened today was an aberration. We're going to do better. We have to do better. The four women sat there, united in their regret, hoping that somehow their words would reach Denzel and that he would know they never wanted any of this to happen. But the damage was done. The moment was captured, and nothing would ever be quite the same again. What started as a simple promotional appearance turned into one of the most talked about moments in daytime television history. Not because of scandal or drama for drama's sake, but because it showed something powerful. It showed that dignity cannot be taken from you. It can only be given away. And Denzel Washington refused to give his away. He walked onto that set as one of Hollywood's most respected actors. He walked off as something more. A man who knew his worth, who stood up for himself and others, who refused to participate in cruelty disguised as conversation. And in doing so, he reminded everyone watching what real strength looks like. It doesn't look like aggression or hostility. It doesn't look like tearing others down to build yourself up. It looks like knowing when enough is enough. It looks like choosing respect over ratings. It looks like walking away from a fight you never asked for in the first place. The other hosts learned something that day too. They learned that silence in the face of wrongdoing makes you complicit. They learned that trying to stop something isn't the same as actually stopping it. And they learned that sometimes the hardest thing to do is stand up to someone you work with, someone you consider a friend, when they're clearly in the wrong. As for Whoopi, she returned to the set later in the show, but she was different. Quieter, more subdued. Whatever fire had been burning in her earlier had been extinguished, replaced by something that looked a lot like regret. She didn't apologize on air. She didn't address what happened directly. She just sat there, going through the motions, a shadow of the commanding presence she usually brought to the table. The audience could feel it. The energy had shifted completely. What was supposed to be an exciting show with a major movie star had turned into something uncomfortable, something people would remember for all the wrong reasons. But perhaps some would remember it for the right reasons too. They would remember a man who refused to be diminished, who stood his ground without raising his voice or losing his cool, who showed more character in walking away than most people show in staying and fighting back. That's the thing about moments like these. They reveal who people really are, not who they pretend to be, not who they want to be, but who they are when the pressure is on and the cameras are rolling and there's nowhere to hide. Denzel revealed himself to be exactly who everyone always thought he was. A professional, a gentleman, a man of principle. And Whoopi revealed something too. Something that shocked her colleagues, her audience, and maybe even herself. The truth always comes out eventually. And on this day, in front of millions of viewers, the truth came out in the most dramatic way possible. Not through a planned segment or a scripted moment, but through a real, raw, unfiltered confrontation that nobody saw coming and nobody would ever forget. 38 seconds. That's all it took for a simple question to turn into an explosion, for a promotional appearance to turn into a statement, for a conversation to turn into a reckoning. And in those 38 seconds, everything changed.